January 1941, the carnage of Second World War is raging, and in Calcutta, the British Empire deploys 64 elite guards, detectives and intelligence officers, all assigned to watch one man. Not a warlord, not a general, a sick man in house arrest. His name alone was enough to unsettle the whole empire. Subhas Chandra Bose. Every door watched, every visitor logged, every move anticipated. And yet one morning the guards were still standing, but the man in house arrest vanished into thin air. In the dead of the night, both slipped through their fingers. The details remain shrouded in mystery. It is said that he escaped through an Audi Wanderer car and then boarded the Kalka mail. And yet, disguises within disguises in multiple layers. And then for 10 more days, the British Empire actually guarded an empty house. 10 days before they realized that the man they feared the most had already vanished. 10 days before the panic set in. And Viceroy's response revealed everything. The order was to shoot at sight when found anywhere in the world. It was one man, a global manhunt, an empire already freaked out. While Indian politicians were yet to wake up to the wartime emergencies, Bose was already crossing the freezing cold Pamir Mountains. It was month of January and northwest frontier province. Sub-zero cold winds, cold deserts, terrain that killed armies, paths where even maps hesitated. In the guise of a Pathan, he moved through Peshawar, Kabul and into Central Asia, where Soviet and British intelligence hunted down every shadow in their great game. The search operations blanketed the entire Indian subcontinent and beyond. And then, one evening, a voice crackled over Berlin radio.
Der Indien Einkampf sein oder nicht sein ist, kann es nur einen Ausgang geben, unseren gemeinsamen Sieg. Lang leben die Dreifachmächte und ihre Verbündeten. Lang lebe das freie Indien.
Netaji has done the impossible. He had crossed the empire while it was trying to hunt him down. Berlin was not a refuge. It was a meticulous calculation. In a world at war, ideals don't win independence, but alliances do. Bose knew that history would judge him, and he accepted that cost, a personal cost. It is when pragmatism met desperation for independence. Enemy of the enemy becomes a leverage. But in that unpleasant situation, something extraordinary happened for India. It was September 11, 1942, when Jana Gana Mana was adopted as the national anthem of free India. The anthem which we sing today was declared in defiance. It was declared in wartime Berlin under the leadership of Netaji Bose. And then came the journey which Bose undertook that no civilians ever had even dared to attempt. 92 days submerged in a German U-boat submarine through the North Sea, across the Atlantic and around the southern tip of Africa. Above him, the world was tearing itself apart with bombs and battleships. And below, the darkness, pressure, steel walls. And for 3 months, Netaji lived in a steel coffin with 30 German sailors who didn't even speak his language. The ocean could have been his grave. Instead, it became the highway to Singapore.
1月7日、自由インド仮政府主犯スバス・チャンドラ・ボース氏は日本と共にアジア解放の戦いに駒を進めるパーモー・ボースの両巨頭故最前線ビルマに相対して
Singapore 1943. In just months and not years, Netaji built what colonial rule had denied for centuries, a sovereign army of 60,000 soldiers, even a women regiment even in those days, provisional government of free India, Azad Hind, a currency, a bank, full diplomatic recognition from 11 nations.
Friends, I do not know how many of us who are going to participate in the coming battle will survive to see India free. But whether we survive or not, whether we individually live to see India free or not, we are confident that India shall be free.
His clarion call made families donated wedding jewelry, sold their ancestral land, gave away their life savings. They gave him everything for the last war of India's independence. INA merged into the Burmese jungles. They faced the full might of the British Empire, artillery, aircraft, and a military force that never lost a war in Asia. Imagine the ferocity of war, that 1/3 of them died in the hills, yet not retreating but advancing. In 1944, Moirang, Manipur, INA Special Forces Bahadur Group raised the tricolor on Indian soil for the first time. Imphal and Kohima, the bloodiest battles of World War II, and every inch was paid for in Indian blood. August of 1945, US nukes Japan and Japan surrenders. Bose puts up a story of a fake air crash. People believe it while intelligence agencies kept hunting for him while he vanishes again. He vanished into the Siberian stretches of Soviet Russia. In India, the sacrifice of INA come up in the press. The masses rise up in revolts. Innumerable army quarters rise up against the crown. The Navy and Air Force revolts in memory of the national hero. And by then, the INS Secret Service had already infiltrated the ranks and files of the British Indian Army. The British lost confidence, and they take no time to realize that their time in India is up. And the Crown finally decides to leave India as soon as possible in fear of a massive bloodbath. When all the dust of war settled, an unknown sage returns to India through Tibet and Nepal, a monk expert in warcraft and military strategies, yet invisible to the public eye. The monk lived on till 1985 near modern-day Ayodhya, even sharing walls with an army cantonment. Whispers persist in power corridors. Classified files hint that silent figure advised wars from behind the curtain. From Indo-Pak War 1971 to even the distant Vietnam, he acted as the invisible guardian of the nation without aspiring for any power or fame. When fragments, silences, and patterns converge, assumptions roll into facts. The old monk was Netaji Bose himself. Bose, the only leader who challenged the Anglo-American forces on the battlefield, inflicting heavy blows to break the very foundation of the empire, yet survived and escaped into freedom every time, which no one else could. Not only did his efforts abruptly end the British imperialism in India, but also the sun of the empire across the globe finally set.